Hi, my name is Dana Capel, and I'm from Academic Skills at Trent. I'm going to be speaking today about studying for and writing multiple choice exams. And this is a topic that's probably on your mind because you're probably starting to get ready for your midterms. When we talk about preparing for exams, we want to think about having a plan. We want to avoid studying aimlessly, by which I mean simply flipping through the book or looking through your notes, or inconsistently studying one section very, very well and then not having time to get through it all. Instead, we want to make a plan for how you will review each week of the term and use this plan to create a study schedule. You can then make a concrete goal for each 2-hour study block. Your plan should include, for each week of the course you need to study, number 1, a way to list and organize the key concepts you need to study. Number 2, a set of active study strategies to help you learn these concepts with depth and complexity. And number 3, a chance to test what you've learned and see where you need to focus further study time. First, let's talk about how to list and organize what you need to study. One way is to create what we call a study guide. A study guide helps you to capture the forest and the trees of the course. And by that I mean the main themes and the details and facts that are associated with these themes. Now there's lots of different ways to do this. One way is to create a mind map for each week of the term. A mind map looks something like this. It's a visual representation of all of your key terms. If you took all of your key terms at the back of a chapter in the textbook, for example, you would want to try and make all of the terms connect to each other so that you can see a big picture and small details of the chapter. Or you could create a formal outline for each week of the term with main ideas broken into topics and details. Another method is to create a study chart for each week of the term. There are many different ways to use study charts. For this class, for the Theories or Research Methods chapter, you may want to define a concept or theory, list the main theorists, its key ideas and key terms or vocabulary, and then how it's been applied to the study of psychology. Or you could create a list of vocabulary terms with a definition, an example, and again, how it's been applied to the study of psychology. For the sections on the nervous system or on sensory systems, you may want to create a chart that involves the region of the brain or the system, the function, the physiological components, injuries or problems, key terms, and again, applications to psychology. All of these are ways to organize the information that you need to study so that you can look at it and easily access what you need to know. Once you have this list, you need to develop a range of strategies to be active in your studying. One way is to talk about the material. You could pretend to explain a concept to your 10-year-old brother. You could discuss a concept with a study group of peers from this class. Or you could try and teach a concept to a friend, to your cat, or even just to your stuffed animal. When we talk about things, we've put things in our own words, and this helps us to understand them. Talking about material adds depth and complexity to our understanding and leads to greater retention. Another wonderful method was developed by a professor at Trent, Professor Smith-Chant, and she calls it the SPEW method. The SPEW method involves taking your list of key terms or using the list at the end of each chapter. Set a timer and without looking at your notes, jot down everything you can for each of your terms. So you might set a timer for 1 to 2 minutes per term and simply spew. Don't look at your notes, just write everything you know about the term. Then use your notes from your textbook to see what you had correct. If you got the information correct, then you can move on. You know this term. But this will help you to know where you need to reread in terms of problem areas, areas that you weren't able to talk about accurately. There are many methods to help you memorize materials. Many students like to use flashcards where they write the term on one side and the definition on the other. Flashcards are wonderful because you can use them both to test your knowledge of the term or by turning them over to be able to recall the name of the term when you see the definition. However, they are time-consuming to create, and I always suggest that if you like flashcards, you try and create them each week of the term rather than right before an exam. Other people like to keep on paper a dictionary of key terms, or to create pictures or symbols to represent different terms. Again, anytime you talk about material, you can deepen your understanding of it. Finally, some students like to use mnemonic devices such as songs or poems or rhymes to help them memorize material. After you've done these active study strategies, make sure to go back over practice tests in the textbook or the companion website to your textbook. This will help you to develop your skills in answering multiple choice questions as well as to know where you may need to spend more time studying. Or get together with a few people and have everyone write 10 multiple choice questions and practice with one another. So to go back to the idea of creating a sample study plan, a plan for this class might be to take each week that you have to study of the term, review your lecture and reading notes, create a study guide for that week, spew the key terms, focus on areas that you had difficult spewing, and then answer the review questions and sample tests at the end of the chapter. I'll move on now to talk about writing the exam. A multiple choice question has a particular structure. It always begins with a stem or a question. And part of your job is to first start by understanding the key words in that stem or question. So for example, in what Canadian city would you find the country's capital city? Then you'll be looking at the answers. Now some answers are obviously wrong. For example, in this question, I likely know that British Columbia is way off track. It is a province, but it's really far from where the capital city is. You also will see distractors. In this question, Ottawa is a distractor. It is the capital city, but it doesn't answer the question, the province that contains the capital city. And this will leave me with two likely possibilities, Quebec and Ontario. And hopefully I'll know that Ontario in this case is the correct answer. One way to approach multiple choice questions is to really think about how to read accurately and efficiently. Oftentimes when we read questions on the page, we read what our eyes expect to see rather than what's actually on the page. In order to help us get beyond that, we can use good reading strategy. First, in order to focus clearly on the question, cover up the answers and read the questions first. When we read out loud, we generally read more accurately. Now, in an exam situation, you very likely cannot read out loud without annoying everyone around you, but you can move your lips, which will help you to read more accurately. Finally, look at the stem and try and jot down any possible answers that come into your mind before you actually look at the possible choices. Another good strategy is to underline key words in the question. This will help you focus on the really important information that will lead you to the correct answer. So in the question, Paul has profound difficulty producing spoken language. If this problem is attributable to brain damage, the damage would probably be found in, I would be focusing on the words in red, difficulty with spoken language. So I want to be thinking about what causes difficulty with spoken language. And if it's due to brain damage, where would I find the damage? So I've underlined all of the key words. Next, I'll look at the answers. And I'll try and eliminate anything that may be wrong. You're looking again for the best possible answer. Don't overthink it, but do go through each answer systematically and evaluate each one. If you're really not sure, you can mark it or leave it until later, and you can always guess. In this case, I have several different distractors. First, the cerebellum is a distractor. It's more associated with fine muscle movement. Sperry's area is a distractor that looks like a real answer because it has the word area on it, but it's actually just a made-up term. Finally, I come to two possible answers. Broca's area, which is the correct answer as it's associated with spoken language, or Wernicke's area, which is actually associated with processing heard language. Once I reach these two possibilities, I have to ask myself, what do I know about these and why is C a better answer than D? Now, some questions on exams will test simple recall. Can you recall the answer to the question? For example, the basic unit of the entire nervous system is the, and of all those choices, I simply need to be able to recall that neuron is the correct answer. Or if I were looking at that second question, in psychological research, the process of using multiple research methods to tackle the same issue is referred to as, again, I need to know that that term is referred to as triangulation. However, other questions ask you to compare and assess multiple factors. For example, what are the main types of assessment measures used by psychologists to study the outcomes of mental activity? Now again, notice that I've underlined or put in red the key words. I'm looking for assessment measures used to study outcomes of mental activity. And I have many different answers to consider. In this case, when I look through the answers, I can notice that behavioral, self-report, and physiological is the best way to measure outcomes of mental activity. Some questions will ask you to apply a concept to a situation. For example, if correlational analyses indicate that higher levels of depression are related to poorer physical health, can we infer that depression causes poor health? This question asks me to take a concept, correlational analysis, and apply it to a particular situation, a study of depression and poor physical health. I need to think about what do I know about correlational analyses, and then how does that knowledge apply to this particular situation? In this case, it should lead me to know the answer is A. Correlated variables do not indicate causal relationships. This is a basic fact about correlational analyses that I know that my textbook and my lecture has talked about, and in this case, it would direct me to understand that I should never assume that depression causes poor health based on a correlational analysis. Some questions will ask you to evaluate and make a choice based on critical thinking, or to choose the best answer. For example, deciding which method to choose is a very complex issue and depends on many factors. Which of the following statements is correct when making this decision? A. Practical issues are irrelevant when deciding which research method to use. B. No one method is universally superior to any other. C. Both A and B. Or D. Neither A and B. Now the first thing I'll do is think about A. Practical issues are irrelevant when deciding which research method to use. Well, it may be true that practical issues shouldn't be the most important issue, but to say that they're irrelevant seems strong to me. No one method is universally superior to any other is answer B. Now this, I know from my reading, is true. There are many different research methods, and while some may be better in particular situations, there's no one that I could choose any specific time. This leads me to my answer. I can understand that the best answer in this situation is that no one method is universally superior to any other. That would help me to know that I could choose from a range of options and still have a good study. All of this process takes time. Now, most people work way too quickly on multiple choice exams and hand their exams in with much time left. As you work through the question, aim to spend about 75% of your time available on each question and leave about 25% at the end to review. Generally, this means slowing yourself down. And one way to think about this is to time yourself on the first 3 questions and see where you are. Give yourself a sense of whether you need to slow down or to speed up. Other people like to mark sections on the exams that they want to be at particular time posts. But as I said, most people go too fast on multiple choice tests, so make sure to slow down, read accurately, underline your key terms, assess your knowledge, and choose the best possible answer after evaluating all your choices. We wish you the best of luck with your midterms, and please know that any of the issues that I've talked about today are things that you can speak to an academic skills instructor about. We have appointments available Monday through Friday. You can book an appointment at trentu.ca/SEP and choose academic skills, or you can drop in Monday through Thursday, 1 to 4 p.m. The drop-in days rotate between the different colleges. Monday is in Zosky, Tuesday in Otonabee, Wednesday in Champlain, and Thursday in Lady Eaton. We can help you with anything related to exam preparation, studying, reading skills, lecture and note-taking, or we can help you with particular assignments, writing essays and report, or improving your grammar. Again, best of luck from the Academic Skills Center, and please don't hesitate to come talk to us.